Good evening. The September 8th meeting of the Clayton County Board of Education is called to order. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. We have special guests this evening. Cadet Senior Master Sergeant Amat Gagny from Mundy's Mill High School Air Force Junior ROTC will assist us with our Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Thank you so much, sir. Board members, in accordance with Board Policy BH, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearance of such conflicts. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict with respect to any matter scheduled to come before the board at this meeting or appearing on our proposed agenda? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from participation in the matter involved. Next is our public participation, and I just wanted to make a quick comment before I read from Board Policy BCBI, which are the kind of the guidelines for this particular part. But I learned since our last meeting something that I didn't know. I knew that the board had difficulty hearing sometimes. We just don't hear what you're saying if you're speaking, or if someone's presenting from over there, we just don't get it up here sometimes. But I learned that you don't get what we say either sometimes. So board members, as you talk, please talk better than I do and slower and very distinctly into your mic so that everyone can hear, and then everyone presenting, if you will kind of keep that in mind as well, because I was told by a member of the audience last week that they didn't hear any better than the board could hear. So I'm going to ask the superintendent to work on that for us and see if we can't fix this the sound system in this old building, and so that everybody can hear better. But for tonight, let's all pay real close attention and understand that we need to kind of sort of swallow our mics, and even when you're talking here or over here. So, in order to provide a professional and courteous forum for citizens to bring concerns and issues before the Clayton County Board of Education, we ask that all speakers be aware of the following guidelines. All Clayton County Board of Education meetings are video and audio taped in order to ensure fairness and accuracy. Board members will not respond at this meeting to comments from speakers. However, the board chair may choose to offer comment as appropriate. Issues requiring possible action by the board may be added to a future agenda. Issues that may need to be addressed by the school system administration will be duly noted. Abusive language and/or personal attacks on board members, school system employees, or other citizens will not be permitted. All speakers must adhere to the district civility policy and other rules as may be necessary. In compliance with state statutes, matters of personnel will not be discussed in public. They will be handled in an executive session of the Board of Education after all administrative channels have been exhausted. Only speakers who sign up for this public participation session will be allowed to speak. We ask that they identify themselves before speaking. Time may not be yielded from one speaker to another. And Mr. Greg Curry is going to be our timekeeper, and each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. We ask each speaker to adhere to this time limit and step aside when time is called. Mr. Curry will tell you, he will say 30 seconds when there's 30 seconds left in your 3 minutes, just kind of so you can summarize and finish up your comments, okay? So don't let him startle you when he says 3 seconds, because 30 seconds, because he's just giving you a little bit of a warning. So all that having been said, our first speaker this evening is Teresa Talley. Teresa Talley. Okay, our next one is, I believe it's Celitria Kale. Okay, our next speaker is Linda Granger. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, Ms. Granger. Our next speaker is Valencia Stovall. Well, this is going quickly, isn't it? Our next speaker is Jasmine Taylor.
Good evening. My name is Jasmine Taylor. I am a parent at North Clayton High School. I have a couple of questions concerning our Georgia Milestone Assessment that we are going to be introducing to our students this year. If I'm...
Yeah, you can pull it off and just hold it if you'd like.
Oh, okay.
There you
Is that
go.
better?
Oh, it's much better. Thank you. No, that's good. That's good. We can hear it.
Okay, my question is about the Georgia Milestone Assessments that is going to be given to our students on this year. If I'm to understand the information that I read on the website correctly, we have currently signed a 5-year contract for this assessment program. And as we stand, the ELCT didn't make it past 2 years. Why did we make a decision to sign a $12.7 million contract for 5 years when we currently have not kept any type of assessment past a 2-year period? My current knowledge of contracts is once you sign on a dotted line, whether you use their services or not, you must pay out that contract. So if we become like Louisiana and St. Louis and all these other places that have currently used this and then dropped it, we're still stuck paying off a $12.7 million bill for something that did us no good. Not only that, what are we planning on getting out of this assessment? We had the ELCT, which kind of gave you a incumbents of what they learned out the school year. We have kids that are getting ready to graduate this year. They have no idea what this test will do to them for graduation. You have juniors that are worrying about this test because they don't know what it's going to do to them for graduation. And we as a county have no idea what this is going to do to us or to our students. What possessed us to sign this type of contract when we had no idea what the end result was? My other issue or question is we're presenting to have a community clinic at North Clayton High School. I would like to know, when are we going to sit down with the parents, the PTA at the school? I'm the PTSA president, just in case anyone needs to know, to discuss how we're going to keep our children secure while we have a clinic that is connected to our vocational building. Our students are still going to have access to it. The people that are in the clinic can easily walk down the hall to get to our vocational building. All they have to do is make a right. They go through double doors. They're now in the main campus. How do we keep our students and our staff safe, not only from the people, but also the germs that we're now permitting to be at our campus? We already have 3 viruses running rampant at our school right now. How do we keep them safe? So I guess my incumbent question is, where are we getting our information when we make these type of long-lasting decisions?
Thank you so much. I just leaned over with the superintendent, and we're going to get somebody to get back with you, maybe not this evening, but in the next day or so, and answer your questions, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our public participation. It's my understanding there are no board recognitions for this evening. Madam Superintendent, is that correct? Okay. And did Ms. Stovall come in? Well, come on up and talk to us. We just finished public participation, but since you're here, we'll let you speak.
All right,
you know all the
it.
little guidelines and stuff,
Yes.
so you go at it.
All right. Good evening, everyone. School board members, everyone in their prospective places. One of the 3 things I want to come before you all tonight. First one is dealing with overcrowding in the high schools. I was actually at one of the high schools today, and and just want to know how we're going to be handling that as well as leveling out. I know they've been in the process of leveling out the classrooms, but it's still some of them have a little bit too many kids in the school, while some of the other high schools, like North Clayton, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if Ms. Taylor mentioned that or not, but don't have enough students. And so when you look at that, and you look at administrative-wise, making sure they have enough of Spanish classes, whether it's French classes, and all of that. If the numbers are not there, then that means that they're not going to have those instructors there. So that's one of the concerns I want to bring up tonight. The next one has to do with, I know you all are working diligently towards trying to rectify the issue with the leasing dealing with 6630 Camp Street. But one of the questions I had, I did do an open request to find out if you all as a board did authorize for that actual lease to be signed. And that's one of the questions that I had. And when I got the results back, they were no response, something like that, no response document. So that is one of the questions I do have, is that the original lease that was signed with the school system with Riverdale Development Authority, I'm not talking about Southern Crescent or nothing else, but did the board, did you all vote on it? And I was had requested for minutes from that meeting that authorized the superintendent to sign that lease. So I'm trying to catch up without running, trying to get here. So that was the other thing that I did have a real major issue or concern regarding that lease. And I know there's some issues that are going on over in Riverdale with the Development Authority and all of that as well. But I did want to get that cleared up as far as that. How many seconds I got, Ms. Kerr? Okay, all right. The next one was dealing with CTAE courses, and I understand I'm also a member of the advisory council with the CTAE course, and I was at a recent meeting that they had, and I'm just concerned about when we have our kids to decide on which CTAE courses they would like, but at that particular school, they don't offer it. And then now you have kind of forcing the students to have to choose a certain course that they might not have normally been interested in. And then how are we as a school district kind of accommodating? Are they allowed to be able to put in administrative transfer and then get first preference? But then what if, like at Forest Park, where you have too many kids and then it's not enough room if someone from Drew wanted to come? So that was some of the concerns I had. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Baker, would you like to introduce Representative Stovall since she came in on the fly there?
We'd like to just welcome our public officials and Ms. Stovall. We welcome you tonight. I'm glad you made it and safe. I don't see any others at this time, so I'm assuming when we get back from executive session, if somebody's slipped in, we'll take a time to notice them. Thank you.
Ms. Baker had another issue that she wanted to bring, and I'm going to allow her to do this.
I'm sure you've all heard the news today that Mr. Truett Cathy has passed away at 93 years old, that he had just, in the last year, turned his company over to his family. This man literally was going to work at 92 years old almost every day. I know him from First Baptist Jonesboro. I have seen his good works firsthand, and I'm sure many of you have. He has always supported this community, our children. He is a great supporter of education. I know many people who have gone to college thanks to that man. And I would just like y'all to take a moment of silence to just think about his. I know he's at a better place, so it's not about him, but just take a moment of silence for his family this evening. Thank you.
And we'll have that moment of silence now. Thank you so much. I'm sure we could all have a favorite Truett Cathy story, but I must share one with you because Ms. Baker said it, so I'll just throw it in here real quickly. I live across the street from Mr. Cathy. We live on this tiny little country road that two cars can't pass, not what you would picture for Mr. Cathy, actually. But when we first moved there, he was a younger man, and he would get out and walk in the evening. And he was walking one evening, and my husband and I were going to eat. And so we passed him, we rolled down the window and chatted with him for just a minute, and I made a bad mistake. I said, "Mr. Cathy, how does it feel to be retired?" And he burred up and looked at me and he said, "Young lady," which I liked, "I can't find it anywhere in the Bible where it's okay for you to retire." And I thought that was just absolutely precious. So God bless Mr. Cathy. Board members, we do need to go into executive session this evening. We need to discuss litigation and we need to discuss personnel issues. So I need a motion to go into executive session. Ms. Baker.
Madam Chair, I move that we go into executive session at this time.
Ms. Gorey, I just figured out what you're going to say, so let me get a second. I'm coming to you, okay? Okay. All right, good. Go ahead and second it, and then...
I will second it.
Okay. Then if you will vote to go into executive session.
I would.
You do want to speak then?
Well, I wanted to add the information that I sent to you in the email for executive session, because I know that that everybody on this board should have received that, because I read the letter, and it's copied to the board, it's copied to the commission, to the Clayton County Commission, and at some point, we need to have a discussion.
Let's put on there land acquisition and disposition as a discussion item, but Ms. Gorey, I promise you I didn't get that, and other board members have told me they did not, but we can talk about that, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, board members, if you would vote to go into executive session, is that okay with those of you that made motions if we add that? And if you'll vote to go into executive session at this time. Mr. Bibbins? Thank you, and it is unanimous. Thank you so much. We'll try to be brief. The board is returned from executive session where we discussed litigation, we discussed personnel issues, and we touched on land acquisition and disposition, but just a barely touch, but it was there. We will now have our announcements by Vice Chair, Dr. Anderson.
Good evening, everyone. Madam Chair, board members, district administrators, and citizens of Clayton County. Here are the announcements for the month of September. September is home to National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, National Library Card Sign-Up, and National Grandparents' Day. Schools throughout the district will conduct open house sessions in September. Open house sessions allow for more in-depth visits for parents and guardians. The schedule for open house session is as follows. Elementary schools, Tuesday, September 9th, 6 to 8 p.m. Middle schools, Thursday, September 11th, 6 to 8 p.m. And high schools, Tuesday, September 16th, 6 to 8 p.m. Our first professional learning day for the 2014-2015 school year will be September 10th. The schedule for the early dismissal of our students is as follows. Elementary schools will dismiss at 1:15. White Academy will dismiss at 1:25. High schools, Ash Street and Unidos Dual Language Elementary School will dismiss at 2:00 p.m. And middle schools, Elite Scholars, Unidos Dual Language Middle School, Dual Language Middle School will dismiss at 2:30. The district will observe Hispanic Heritage Month beginning September 15th and continuing through October 15th, 2014. The City of Riverdale is sponsoring a Get Fit 5K run on Saturday, September 20th, to benefit public schools. Money raised from registrations will go to support the school supply bank for the Riverdale schools. Check-in will begin at 6:30 a.m. with the run set to commence at 8:00 a.m. To register or for information, go to www.riverdaleculture.com. Again, www.riverdaleculture.com. The first Board of Education retreat of the 2014-2015 school year will take place Tuesday, September 23rd at the Truett-Cathy Professional Learning Center. The retreat is scheduled to begin at 6:00 p.m. The September board work session will be held Monday, September 29th in the boardroom of the Administration Complex. The meeting will begin at 6:00 p.m. And finally, the October board meeting will be here in the boardroom on Monday, October 6th at 6 p.m. Madam Chair, that concludes tonight's announcements, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Board members, we're ready to approve minutes. We have the minutes for the board work session on July the 28th and the board meeting on August the 4th. They were posted on eBoard for your inspection. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as they were posted? Ms. Gorey?
I figured you're just going to approve them back. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Now's the time.
Okay. Ms. Stovall mentioned something in her public participation about open records requests for minutes. I've had someone else call me before about finding minutes on our website, and I know that the law clearly states that after you have a meeting, I'm not sure what the days are anymore, I don't know if it's 3 to 5 days, that minutes should be posted. Now, I thought that we said that what we were going to do was at least post minutes, and we would put something on there that said, you know, that they, you know, that these were a draft of the minutes until approved. I don't see that happening. I've looked on the website after meetings, and I don't see minutes. And I think that I would not like for us to be out of compliance with the state law. So I just need to know what we plan on doing about it, because we're not putting it on there.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Doyle to address state law, and then we'll address practice and see where we are, because we do want to be compliant. Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Gorey is correct. There are legal requirements for posting of minutes, and the legal requirement actually is pretty fast, and so many districts will post the draft form because frequently minutes are only approved once a month, you know, up to 30 days later, that sort of thing. I'm not aware of what the district's practices are, but I certainly would recommend that technology check into that and make sure that we're matching up with the statute, and we'll be happy to assist with that effort.
Okay, and you can check on that definite timeline, that how many days we have and that kind of thing.
Yes, it's not many days at all, but I'll be happy to work with technology to make sure we're in compliance.
Okay, thanks. Okay, the superintendent says that we'll check on that. Ms. Gorey, thank you. That's a good point. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as they are posted on eBoard? Okay, then they will stand approved as they have been posted and as they are written. Next, we'll have the superintendent's report.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, and community members. Monday, August 7th, marked the opening of the 2014-15 school year. I was joined by members of the district's administration in visiting campuses throughout the county. We saw instruction taking place from the opening bell. Despite a high level of construction activity on numerous campuses, as we seek to provide appropriate capacity for growing student population, our schools opened on time. Our maintenance crews worked to keep our buildings cool and presentable. Students were warmly greeted and were given an academic planner and a handbook. All in all, it was a very successful opening for what we anticipate will be a memorable school year. Speaking of our growth population, we had just over 48,000 students enrolled on the opening day of school. Since August 7th, we have continued to enroll students at a substantial rate. So as of Friday, September 5th, our district enrollment stood at 53,484 students, which is nearly 1,000 more than this same time last year. This, we believe, is the highest student enrollment in the history of Clayton County Public Schools. Our principals have been working over the past 2 weeks to level classes to alleviate any potential overcrowding. The assistant superintendents will continue to monitor our student population at the school level to ensure an effective learning environment for all children. We will also continue our work in studying the capacity of our facilities as we can anticipate continued growth throughout the county. David Soar, a student at North Clayton High School, will be honored by the Princeton Club of Georgia with the Woodrow Wilson Community Service Award. Established in 1985, the annual Woodrow Wilson Community Service Award honors Atlanta area high school juniors who, through community involvement and personal initiative, best exemplify the ideals of service and volunteerism by former President Woodrow Wilson. David is one of 12 students from the metro area to be honored. An award presentation ceremony will be held on Wednesday, September 17th, beginning at 9 a.m. The program will be provided an opportunity for the award winners to meet Governor Nathan Deal. Today, Clayton County Public Schools hosted the Georgia Department of Education's Career, Technical, and Agricultural Education Division, CTAE, for a teacher informational meeting. These teachers drove in today. They happen all across the north, central, and south parts of Georgia. The Performing Arts Center in Mount Zion High School opened its doors to over 300 teachers from across the region to receive training that prepares students for college and careers. And so we're so glad they've chosen Clayton County to participate in this as the host. The Clayton County Chamber of Commerce and the school district will collaborate for the 5th annual Principals Partners Day in October. During the first 4 years of this event, nearly 200 community representatives have had an opportunity to see firsthand how a school operates and how it is managed by our principals. On Tuesday, September 23rd, the Chamber will host the annual Principal Partners Day program and mixer at the Truett Cathy Professional Learning Center beginning at 4:30 p.m. The fall sports season is underway with football, cross country, and girls softball leading the way. So I want to commend all of our coaches, our volunteers, our parents, and especially our student athletes for an outstanding start to the district's 2014-15 athletic season. Congratulations to the Mundy's Mill High School Lady Tigers for winning the annual county softball tournament championship. Lovejoy High School football team will play before television cameras on 2 occasions this season, so we need to be ready. The first takes place on Friday, September 19th at 7:30 p.m. at 12 Oak Stadium as the Wildcats take on McEachin High School on ESPN. The second telecast is scheduled for Friday, October 31st at 7:30 p.m. on Georgia Public Broadcasting. Lovejoy will play host to Tucker High School. And so I do want to announce earlier today, a bomb threat for Riverdale Middle School was received by the 911 center as the school day neared dismissal. After going on lockdown and as a safety precaution, students and staff were evacuated to a secure site at the Riverdale branch of the Clayton County Library System on Valley Hill and then transported by bus to a reunification site at the Virginia Gray Recreation Center on East Fayetteville Road. These steps were taken to ensure the safety of all students and staff. We extend our appreciation to our law enforcement partners. They all came to our assistance, and to our partners in county government because they too came to our assistance. And I also want to thank the staff and students and families of Riverdale Middle School for cooperation during this difficult situation. And Madam Chair and board members, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Ms. Gorey, did you have a comment?
Yeah, actually, I have a question of the superintendent, since another issue was brought out in public participation regarding the community clinic at North Clayton High School. I would like, I don't know if I missed the email or something, but I don't remember receiving any information about that, and I would like some information and I guess some type of timeline or whatever. If we made a decision to do something, it seems to me that should have come before the board, and you know, you're placing. I've seen some good things about those because I think Fulton County is doing something similar. I've seen some school district, but I'm just looking for community input because that would, you know, be a concern, and I'm wondering when will we receive that information. First I've ever heard of it.
Okay. I think it came before the board some time ago as we partnered with Emory University for this, but I will be more than happy to get you more information.
Well, I guess the other concern here is I would like to know if is this going to be something permanent? Is it temporary? If we're leasing out space or whatever, because of course my concern is it's all right. I guess it's a good thing, but you know, I've been trying to get rezoned so that we can have more students at North Clayton High School and offer more electives and career paths and all those types of things. So are we just giving the space up and not doing anything, or what? You'll let us know that?
Yes, ma'am, I will give you more information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you, Ms. Gorey.
One other thing, I'm gonna say we should beat Tucker this year, because I think they were beaten very badly last weekend, and we all do need to be present. So go Wildcats.
All right. It's time to approve our consent agenda, which includes our purchasing report, financial report, SPLOST 4 revenue report, personnel changes report, and the SPLOST construction update. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Dr. Anderson
So moved, Madam Chair.
and Ms. Baker.
Second.
Board members, if you would vote your pleasure regarding the consent agenda. And it is unanimous. Thank you so much. Next on the business agenda is the Policy Series B. Just before the meeting, Mr. Doyle told me that he had had a discussion with Board Member Gorey and that she had, nope, did I mess that up? I'm sorry, but I need to let Ms. Gorey share some things with us. Okay. Or do you want to share? Sure. Okay, good. Let's let him share. Evidently, I goofed up, Ms. Gorey, so.
Ms.
Mr.
Gorey,
Doyle.
did you enjoy that conversation we had before the board meeting?
I don't recall it.
I did not have a chance to have a conversation with Ms. Gorey, but she asked a question last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago.
Okay, that's where I knew you were connected, Ms. Gorey. Okay.
Regarding a B policy, and specifically policy BBA dealing with board officers. There was a provision in there talking about the board chair and obligation to sign certain documents. Among those, there's a couple strike-throughs of the words contracts and agreements. And I guess I'll give the short version. I think she asked a very good question. I had a chance to talk to Mr. Thompson about it, and I think we agreed that her point was valid, that those words should remain in the policy to be consistent with current practices and maybe best practices. And so, anyway, I just wanted to mention that to the board if there is no objection to that.
Thank you. So, board members, I think Mr. Doyle, I messed it up once, so you keep me honest, Mr. Doyle. I think we're talking about page 1 of the B policies. It's BBA, and the strike-throughs were on the word contracts and agreements, and those should not be struck through. That's an agreement between our school district officials as well as our legal counsel. And so if you would agree to that, if no one has objections to that, then we will assume that those are not struck through, and when we vote, they will be back in the verbiage of that particular policy, okay? Does anybody have objections to that? And thank you, Ms. Gorey, for catching that. That's a good catch. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Just trying to make sure that I'm trying to scan through here. So the protocols are not on here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
No, ma'am. And I went back and did just a little bit of research on that, Ms. Gorey. At the July work session, I promised the board that I would provide those protocols because some folks, you know, didn't have copies of them. And so that's why they were attached on e-board, because that's the easiest way. But they don't have a thing to do with the B policies, okay? I'm sorry, that's not correct. They don't have anything to do with our approval of the B policies.
Okay.
The B policies themselves stand independent, okay?
Okay.
All right. So I need a motion to approve the amended policy series B with the changes that we just discussed. Ms. Burrows?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay. And Dr. Anderson?
I second the motion, Madam Chair.
And so we're ready to vote on the approval of the B policies. If you would vote your pleasure at this time. And the B policies are approved with 5 members in favor and 4 members in opposition. Good. The next series is the D series, the fiscal management policies. We've had very few questions about that as we've gone along, so I need a motion to approve the Series D policies. Ms. Baker?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the F policies.
No, the D
I'm
policies.
sorry, D policies. I'm looking at the wrong one.
That's okay. We can
Just
do the
approve
F
them
if you want. Just throw them all in there. And Dr. Anderson?
I second the motion.
And board members, if you would vote your pleasure regarding the D policies. And those policies are approved with a vote of 6 in favor and 3 in opposition. The next one is the e-policies business management. Again, let me just make a quick comment for the audience that we have discussed these for 2 months. Okay, they've been at 2 different work sessions, so it's not this, that we're approving them without discussion, but we have been discussing them for some time. So the Series E, I need a motion to approve them, please. Ms. Goree?
A question, I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, hang on just a second. Ms. Baker?
Let me try this again. Madam Chair, I move that we approve the business management
Thank you.
policies.
And Dr. Anderson?
Madam Chair, I second the motion.
Good. And then, Ms. Goree, let's go back to you.
Actually, I might be a policy ahead of myself, but I'm hoping that when we get through these, because I've been asking this question about why we do this every year. I thought at some point we were going to stop doing this, so I'm hoping that once we finish going through this series, that'll be it for a minute, because we have this every other meeting, and nobody else does this but us. They should be refined, I know by now.
Thank you, Ms. Goree. So we've got a motion and a second to approve the e-policies. Board members, if you would vote your pleasure. And those policies move with 6 votes in favor and 3 in opposition. All right, next we have on our agenda the Elite Scholars Charter extension. The school and the school's governance council has asked for a 1-year extension. So I need a motion to approve that. Dr. Anderson?
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we approve the 1-year extension for the Elite Scholars Charter School.
And Ms. Goree?
I second the motion.
And board members, if you would vote your pleasure at this time. And it is unanimous. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the Atlanta Regional Commission contract. I need a motion to approve that contract. This is an extension of an existing contract. Dr. Anderson?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Ms. Baker?
Second.
Board members, if you would vote your pleasure. And it is unanimous. Thank you. Next, board members, we must vote on our GSBA board recognition. What we're voting on is what we wish to apply for. We have all of the criteria for the quality recognition. When we have posted the new report card online, we will have met one of the criteria, one of the outstanding criteria for distinguished recognition. We have received back 2 of 4 board assessments from the community that we gave out, we agreed to at our last meeting. So we should have those ready for you at the retreat so that you'll have that particular information. So I need a motion. We feel like that we have met the criteria that has been established by the Georgia School Boards Association for distinguished. And so I'm asking for a motion to apply for distinguished recognition by the Georgia School Boards Association. Dr. Anderson?
So moved, Madam Chair.
And Ms. Baker's light was on, yes?
Second.
Board members, if you're ready to vote your pleasure on that one. And the motion passes with 5 in favor and 3 in opposition and 1 abstention. Ms. Goree, am I correct on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Of course, I would want us to get the recognition, but we need some work. And until we address what we need work on, I can't give it, I don't want to say no, but I can't give it a yes.
Thank you, Ms. Goree. Finally, our, hang on, let me clear my board here. There we go. Now we have recommendations from executive session. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, ma'am. We have recommending the Director for Technology, Mr. Howard Langford.
I need a motion in support of the superintendent's recommendation of Howard Langford for the Director of Technology. Ms. Baker?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for Howard Langford for Director of Technology.
And Ms. Burrows?
I second the motion.
Thank you. And board members, if you would vote your pleasure at this time. The motion carries with 8 board members in favor and 1 board member in opposition.
Is Mr. Langford here? That's Rod Smith.
Oh, that's not you. Come out of that shadow back there. So we can see. Are you just standing up so we'd clap for you? Is that what it was? Okay. All right. Good.
He's the executive director.
So you will share our applause. Thank you. Okay.
Coordinator of Exceptional Education, Ms. LaTanya Young.
Need a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation. Ms. Goree.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation of LaTanya Young for the coordinator of exceptional education.
Dr. Anderson.
I second the motion.
And board members, if you would vote your pleasure on this recommendation. And the motion passes with 8 votes in favor and 1 vote in opposition.
Is she here? She's not here this evening. We will send her your congratulations. Okay. The next recommendation is Principal, Kendrick Middle School, Dr. Kimberly Duggar.
Ms. Goree.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for Dr. Kimberly Duggar as the principal of Kendrick Middle School.
Ms. Burrows.
Where are you, Dr. Duggar?
I second the motion.
We haven't voted yet.
Just as a technicality, you just stand up there. a
Yeah,
minute.
just
Y'all
stand up
vote.
there while
Y'all
we
vote
vote.
real quick. Everybody vote your pleasure on this nomination.
Sorry, you know.
And it does pass 8 with 1 opposition. Now we'll clap again.
Dr. Duggar.
All right.
The next is Assistant Principal, Forest Park Middle School, Mr. Rodney Wickerson.
Okay, I need a motion. Dr. Anderson.
Madam Chair, I ask that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the assistant principal for Forest Park Middle School, Mr. Rodney Wilkerson.
And Ms. Burrows.
I second the motion.
And board members, if you would vote your pleasure. The motion passes with 8 board members in favor and 1 board member in opposition.
Rodney Wickerson. Congratulations. And the Assistant Principal for Oliver Elementary School, Mr. Reginald Price.
Is this your school, Ms. Goree?
I'm going to defer to, I'm going to let Mr. Christmas do it, and I'll second it.
Mr. Christmas.
I move that we accept the superintendent recommendation for Mr. Reginald Price.
And Ms. Goree.
I'll second it.
And board members, if you would vote your pleasure. And the motion passes with 8 in favor and 1 in opposition.
Mr. Price? Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, board members.
Board members, that concludes our recommendations from executive session. We've completed all the business that is recorded on our agenda, so I declare this meeting adjourned.